Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Funko Legacy Collection, The Rocketeer. Of course, when this was released, Spot knew he had to pick it up because he's a big fan of The Rocketeer, one of my favorite movies as a kid. We have received Rocketeer figures before, but they never have been really perfect. Spot went even as far as to make his own Rocketeer figure with a G.I. Joe when I was a little wee kid. But Funko delivered not only the Rocketeer in the Reaction line, which I still have out on display, but of course now we're getting him in the Legacy Collection. This is number 1. Figure number 1. On the side, there's a picture of Rocketeer, and on the back, the original artwork from the poster of Rocketeer, as well as a nice image of him from the movie. This is also powered by Gentle Giant Studios, who also sculpted the Rocketeer figure here. Finally, on the underside, www.funko.com. You can also go to Original Funko at Twitter and Facebook, facebook.com/Original Funko. Spot's super excited. Can't wait to get this opened up when we're going to take a break, of course. Come back. We're going to get a better look at the Reaction. No, not quite. We're going to have a better look at the Legacy Collection, Rocketeer. Super excited. Don't go anywhere, guys. Stay tuned. The Rocketeer out of packaging, of course, is unhelmeted. You have to add the helmet as an alternate head. But right away, we're greeted to a likeness of Cliff, or Billy Campbell, who played him in the Rocketeer movie. I don't know if I would say the likeness is spot on, but at any rate, it's going to be a figure that I'm going to be swapping out for the helmet anyways. I'm not going to be displaying him with it. I mean, you could, I guess, theoretically take the Rocketeer helmet, and then, as you can see, it's not hollow. You're not going to be putting it over top of Cliff's head, but you could kind of just have him holding the helmet. Kind of just put it towards his torso there, and you can have him kind of holding it. That's a neat look, too. But, of course, for me, I would display him with the helmet. Paint seems like he's a little overly tanned. I don't know, maybe that's one point I could make about the sculpt on and appearance of Cliff. His skin tone seems like it's a little too tanned, but that's okay. He's got his aviator jacket on there, as well as his aviator pants. This one leg seems to be, every time I turn it, it seems like it wants to come loose from the rest of the leg, but I can just pop that back into place. Quite nice details overall. This does not look like it is removable. It is just a fixed piece. There is no actual sculpt. Is there? Maybe there is. Let's see if we can... No, it looks like there's straps underneath, but I wouldn't run the risk of trying to pry this open to... Yeah, I'm just going to leave it as is. It looks like it's got like the indication that it could be removable, or at least something that could be opened up, but I'm just going to leave it be. I'm not going to mess around with it. Other notable traits, of course, has to be the rocket on the back there. It's nice. Very, very nice details. Right down to the finest of details for those watching who have seen the movie. The little wad of chewing gum, which plays a pivotal role. I'm surprised it didn't make the credits. Wad of gum. Wrigley's played wad of gum. Nice, very nice details. So, as mentioned, he does have the alternate head, and for me, the only head that you would display with him, we have to just pop it off the ball socket, and of course, oh, I knew this was going to happen. The ball socket actually came off with the head. So we have to do a little bit of finagling. I'm going to have to pop this back into place and try to pull the head socket off. Bear with me, be right back. It was so stiff, actually, I ended up having to get a pair of pliers just to pull the ball joint out of the head of Cliff. There's his head right there. So we're going to take Rocketeer's head. You ask me, a much better head, obviously, to be displaying it with. We'll just put a little bit of pressure. There we go. And you've got the Rocketeer in all of his glory. Nice gold, I must say, that they went with. The gold matches the tips of the jetpack that he's got. But that's a much better look, if you ask me. Nothing against Cliff, but I think if you're going to have Rocketeer, you're going to want to be displaying him with the helmet. And he looks awesome. One of the other accessories that comes with the Rocketeer is his pistol. Slightly weathered, which I like that. It doesn't look like it's just a clean, brand new gun. Also got a brown handle. Put that into, only sadly his one hand will hold the pistol. And get that into his hand. Luckily, you can see, let's bring the camera in, you can see that his finger sits right on the trigger of the gun. A nice touch. I feel like the tip is fragile though, so be careful when you're putting it on his hand that you don't accidentally put your hand against it, that this bends, because I feel like this could break. But display-wise, I'll probably be displaying Rocketeer with his gun. And then his other hand, either, as you saw already, you can either have him holding the helmet, if you want to go with that route, or I probably would just have his hand kind of extended out like this. It's a really neat look for him. And, you know, couple that with, you could have the legs bent. I feel like his head, sadly, like the way he's, as cool as a figure he is, I feel like he really needs a display stand. And that could have been something else that Funko could have possibly added to him. They could have even put a hole right at the back of his jetpack, put a clear stand rod, and then a clear stand, and then you could have had, I mean, that shows so cool that I would display him probably in like mid-flight. Equally, they could have also added a little bit of fiery effect, but I'm not going to judge it too much because at the end of the day, we've got a Rocketeer figure that I have wanted since I was a kid. No fooling at all. Again, I took a G.I. Joe figure. I can't remember what it was. I think it was, not that it's relevant, but I think it was the G.I. Joe figure that came with the, it was the pilot that had the brown mustache, glasses. He had a brown suit, and he came with, I think, the mud bogger. It was like this green jet that had a propeller on the back. I took him, I took the Laser Viper's head, I cut out a piece of plastic, I put that on the helmet of the Laser Viper, painted it gold. It wasn't perfect, but it was as good as perfect could be when you were a kid with an imagination that I had, and that was my Rocketeer. That was my Rocketeer for years. I played with that thing to death, but now I finally have a definitive Rocketeer, and I'm so excited to have it. When it comes to Rocketeer's articulation, his head, as you've seen, is on a double ball joint. Ball joint in the head, in this case where the helmet is, and a secondary ball joint in the base of the neck. He has hinged elbows, or hinged shoulders, I should say, which rotate all the way around. Hinged elbows, which also rotate at the forearm. He has a rotation in the hand. He has a ball joint in the upper torso, which also can add to some pretty cool poses, the way you want to display old Rocket here. His legs hinge out, a nice ball joint. Swivel at the thigh. This thigh doesn't bother me too much. This one thigh, again, as you can see, is a little loose. I don't know, I might even add a little bit of glue. That doesn't really bother me that I can't move it, because I just still have the movement of the legs. He has a double hinged knee, and finally a hinged foot. There we go. It's, again, a really great figure. Maybe you haven't even seen the Rocketeer. If you haven't seen the Rocketeer, take my advice, Spot's advice, go see the movie. I think it still holds up today. Maybe not some of the special effects, granted, but I think it still holds up well for a movie of its age. Again, so very cool that the likes of Funko would go and release a figure like this. They've already released, for like the Legacy line, they've released Firefly figures, and now to get the Rocketeer, this guy's sitting right out on my shelf right after this review. So very cool. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Funko Rocketeer figure. Certainly stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching. See you next time.